Hello, I'd like to talk about aftercare in research. Aftercare is not much thought about in the Euro-Western research paradigm. It is usually considered in Indigenous research because that's very much community-based and it's about research serving existing relationships rather than relationships being created to serve research, as we tend to see things in the Euro-Western paradigm. Aftercare is difficult in the Euro-Western paradigm because of budgets, timescales, funders' requirements and so on. But we need to start thinking about aftercare, and indeed people have started thinking about aftercare because this is an ethical necessity. Of course, it's important to provide aftercare for people who've been connected with our research, for our participants, for other stakeholders, and for their communities to ensure that we're available to them and accountable to them in case they need any changes made, even after the research project has finished, for any reason of their own. For example, there was some research done in South Africa around supporting lesbian communities who are at high risk of violence and so-called corrective rape. And after the research was finished, oddly enough, two of the participants, quite separately, contacted the researcher and said they had understood that they needed to transition, and so they were no longer comfortable being part of a project about lesbians because they were redefining themselves as men. So this produced a bit of a conundrum for the researcher and a bit of a major issue to deal with. It was something that I don't think that researcher could have seen coming. And these things can be difficult to see coming, which is why we need to stay in touch, to stay accessible, and to remain accountable for the research work that we've done. But aftercare isn't only about people. We need to take care of our data after we finish our work. It needs to be stored, and not only stored but also preserved, and where possible made available for reuse. And it doesn't stop there either, because our findings, we need to take care of our findings, to do all we can to make them available to anyone who might find them relevant or useful, and to do what we can to ensure that our findings are used. This need for aftercare raises some difficult questions for Euro-Western researchers and their funders, commissioners and managers. We're rather too used to finishing a project and seeing it as the end of our responsibility, moving on to the next project. But we need to be asking serious questions about and finding answers to the need for aftercare for the research that we do.